Right, and we are, or rather should be, live. Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and I hope all of you guys are having a good morning, evening, wherever you guys are from. And welcome back to the Crypto Analyst live stream. Now, I know it's been a while. It's very hard to do these in the summer, given my circumstances where I live, and just hard to carve out a large amount of time to be able to pour into these things. But they will be starting back normally, hopefully in about a month or so. So give it about a month, and we'll be getting back into these probably on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So it'll be really cool to be able to get back into these. But I am going to be doing one right now. I have carved out some good time, and we're going to be going into this, looking at Bitcoin, looking at a couple of the altcoins, especially like Ethereum right now. That's a big one. And then whatever you guys, of course, want to request in the chat room, in the YouTube chat, we're going to be looking at that as well. So let me go ahead and get this out and make sure the stream is up and for everyone. And then we can go ahead and dive on into this live stream. I understand it is a beautiful Thursday, around Thursday midday, not afternoon, not morning anymore, but about midday on Thursday. So happy Thursday to everyone. And let's go ahead and get this link out. Boom. And boom. All right. And we should be good to go from here. So, yeah, it's been a while. John, welcome to the chat room. Jason, welcome to the chat room. Sweet DGB call, dude. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. DGB to BTC. Was it to BTC? I'm pretty sure it was to BTC. I haven't looked at this guy in a while. Yeah, it's been forever. The last time I charted this was this beautiful fall. This was such a nice falling wedge that it had. I mean, this thing was asking. I don't know if this is the call that you're referring to, but that's the way that this thing goes. Is it's just like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Just falling channel, falling channel, falling channel. Looks like it's kind of bottoming out over here, hopefully at least. It's got a nice little support line. I don't want to go too far into the altcoins because I want to make sure that I cover Bitcoin as well. But I mean, this thing's got a really nice support line over in here. You have like 1, 2, 3, 4 separate swing low touches. Wrong window. Hope everyone is awesome. Hey dude, Bitcoin Bounce. What's up with LTC? We can take a look at that. So let's go ahead and give everyone a second to get in here before I get into Bitcoin, because I don't want to just dive full on into it. Before I give everyone a chance to join in, then everyone has to rewatch it. But I was looking at this, and I was talking about this with a guy named Soy Sauce in the Discord, or Sean on here. I'm not, I think he has to work right now, so I don't think he'd be around. But basically, me and him were talking about this. Beautiful divergence on Bitcoin. Looking at this from the 1 day isn't quite as good, but it looks like it's actually topping out on the 1 day, which could be a really good sign for the bulls, because what this could mean is that it's ready for another leg to the upside, which is kind of what's currently happening. And again, I don't want to go too far into depth. I want to give everyone a second to join in here. I literally just posted the link. I'll tell you what, I'll look at, if you guys have a coin, QNT, I'll tell you what, I'll take a look at one of the altcoins, and then we'll come back to Bitcoin, because I want to give everyone a chance, because everyone wants to hear Bitcoin, but not everyone wants to hear altcoin. So I'll give everyone a chance to join. I'll go ahead through this altcoin, and then we'll go back to Bitcoin once everyone who wants to have joined, or a lot of people have had the opportunity to, because the notification literally just went out. So QNT, I have not ever heard of this one. Quant to Bitcoin. Looking at this from the Bittrex exchange, this thing looks really good, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, even though, the only problem that I have with this is that it literally just started trading here. So what usually happens is when something trades here, it's hard to say that this is a cup and handle, because this is all that we've ever seen is like this little nice V. But usually for stuff like this, people would be looking to call this a cup and handle, because here we have the cup, and then we have the handle forming right in here, and you can see this handle forming by pretty much just like a falling channel sort of consolidation. So ideally, this would be your handle forming. I would imagine that it comes all the way down to the 200 EMA, uses it as support, and then moves up from there. Sorry guys, I'm getting a couple of texts. Sorry, I got a crazy text about Elon Musk. But yeah, so working for this is what I would imagine that this guy does, kind of ricochets in here, and then ideally cup and handles are a bullish formation and continuation pattern. So what this would essentially be doing, all the cup and handles are, by the way, let me go ahead and explain those. So cup and handle, the reason why it's a bullish formation pattern, because a lot of people just know, well, that's a bullish formation pattern, this is a bearish one, but they don't know why this is bullish and why this is bearish. The reason that this is bullish is because this is essentially your bull pull going upwards and a bull flag going downwards here. So this is classified as a bull flag, bull pull combination, and the reason that this is a bullish thing is because of, well, one, it's a bull flag, and two, it's essentially seen as a continuation pattern where it's one of those buy the dip sort of scenarios. So it's essentially your bull pull, your bull flag, and then your breakout from there towards the upside. Now, it's not necessarily going to be some giant breakout, but usually you do have a breakout from down in here. So maybe if it gets close to this 200 EMA again, it might be a good buy. If it crosses down back over it, it could be a little scary because you have to make sure that you don't stay in... You have to make sure that you don't stay in cup and handles, because sometimes people will stay in these cup and handles and they'll keep going down and down and down and down and down. And they're like, well, it's just a giant handle. The breakout's going to be huge. When that's not necessarily the case, and it's probably just a failed cup and handle. Because if you have a cup and handle that looks something like this, it's not a cup and handle. It's just not. So your handle should probably, at most only be half the length of the cup. So I think anything like this would be fine, but you'd still have to keep a pretty close eye on it. But that is QNT on the 4-hour chart, which is my favorite. Had triple bearish divergence already played out, and looks like it's around support on the RSI. So we'll see. Time will tell. Is this going to actually play out? Can it continue this uptrend, or will it, will it just fall back down from here? Again, it's a relatively new coin. It came out in February, or got listed on February. So we'll see from there. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into Bitcoin. Bitcoin to the USD. The big token that everyone wants to hear. So on Bitcoin, I want to highlight a couple of things. Yeah, no problem, Bitcoin Allen. Welcome, by the way. I'm going to probably butcher your name, but I think it's Rahib. Welcome, Rahib. Is DFS a real or a fake token? It is actually a real token. I think the question that you're asking is whether or not it's a scam. Personally, I do not believe it's a scam. Now, we live in crypto. Anything, Bitcoin could be a giant scam for all we know. We don't know the owner. What's stopping him from just killing the thing, right? So anything could be a scam. Do I think Bitcoin's a scam? No. Some people do. I don't think Bitcoin's a scam. Do I think DFS is a scam? No, I don't, personally. But just because I think something doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. I think the probability of DFS being a scam is very low. If I thought it was a scam, I wouldn't have made a video about it, and I wouldn't have put my own money into it. Put it that way. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. One of the things I want to highlight on Bitcoin here is that it has this very nice long-lasting support line. It was kind of broken, though. I guess we can kind of adjust this because I did not draw it necessarily the best over in here. It would look something a little bit more like this. So then essentially what we would be looking at over here is piercing candle action, which is very possible. And that it kind of bounced off this area very, very well. Yes, you did have two piercing candles. This second one was a wick that happened literally a couple hours ago. Wick down in here and immediately got bought back up, and now you're seeing a lot of buying pressure. The problem with this is, even though this is a great long-lasting support, the heaviest support that we've had in this entire uptrend, being the 200 EMA, which is this like pinkish purple line over in here, is now going to be resistance. On top of that, you have the 50 EMA as resistance as well, and if this 50 EMA, which is, it's very much fighting to do, if this 50 EMA crosses back down over this 200 EMA in here, that would actually create a death cross on the 4-hour chart, which is not a good thing to see. So ideally, any kind of bull would want us to break above this point and then hold and bounce off of this, because that would say that former resistance is now support, because this is former support that's now resistance. So Bitcoin really needs to break above this point, use this area in here as support instead of resistance, and then it can head back up to I believe this 13K range pretty easily. So it's a very, very pivotal moment because you have the heaviest support now turn resistance, and you can see in here from this wick that this is definitely resistance in this area. So if it sees resistance from here, Bitcoin could very well come back down and probably test the mid $8,000 area if it sees rejection from this area. Because, I mean, with this death cross, you could ultimately see, personally, in my opinion, I think Bitcoin could come all the way back down into the mid 7,000s, anywhere down in here, if it actually sees a death cross on the 4-hour chart. So if that happens, you could be potentially looking at a larger retracement than probably desired on Bitcoin. And yeah, one of the things I want to highlight is, I was talking about this in the Discord as well. Yeah, no problem, Raheem. One of the things I wanted to highlight over here is how well the indicators and oscillators have been playing out on Bitcoin. I mean, it's been phenomenal. Just the way that the MACD and the RSI have been interacting with bullish and bearish divergence has been so clean. Over here, we had quadruple bullish divergence on Bitcoin, and we saw, where'd that end up? And we saw that play out like absolutely beautifully over here. Quadruple bullish divergence all the way through here. This thing kept climbing. Then all of a sudden we got triple bearish divergence. It fell back down. And then, I'm on the wrong tool, my bad. Then we had our triple bearish divergence right here. We saw it fall down. And then over here we are getting more bullish divergence actually, because this is 3 lower swing highs on Bitcoin. This one was a little bit less clean, but it was still triple bullish divergence over here. And of course we bounced off of this support line with the triple bullish divergence. And now Bitcoin's all the way from $9,000 all the way up to, well, where we're at right now, around 10,500, 10,600, depending on where you caught this measured move from. So Bitcoin, again, playing out absolutely beautifully from the MACD right now. Looking at this from the RSI, it's pretty much just as clean. We hit that deep double oversold territory on Bitcoin, and we bounced very, very well. I kind of drew this out over here with like little arrows, but basically exactly what was expected played out. And now what I would be looking for is essentially a higher low, on a higher swing low rather, on Bitcoin. So I would be looking at this area over here. What about XRP? We'll look at that in a sec. I think I actually still own XRP. So my ideal entry for like a long or something on Bitcoin would be around this overbought territory. Not overbought, oversold, because basically what I would be looking at is a retracement, and this would set a higher swing low. I think anywhere around the 29 or 30 area would be a perfect bounce from the RSI for this thing to continue heading upwards. And so I'll go ahead and kind of leave this here so we can see if, or whether or not this plays out. But I believe that when this thing does retrace, the 29 area, ideally somewhere around this 29 number, is going to be the bounce for Bitcoin off the relative strength index before it heads back upwards. So that could be a significant fall. I mean, right now we're sitting around 55. I think that this thing could very easily creep up a little bit more here, but it does look like it's actually seeing rejection. And if this rejection falls through, you're definitely going to be seeing some new lows on Bitcoin in the short term. Now, not new yearly lows. That's not what I mean by this, but new lows within perspective of what we have over here on this current chart that I have in front of me. So something below $9,000 ideally is what I'm kind of working at. Ashwin, welcome. Julian, welcome. XRP, what about XRP, sir? We will take a look at XRP in just a second. And Litecoin, we will also take a look at that. I know someone was telling me earlier. Hey, dude, Bitcoin bounce, what's up with Litecoin? Yeah, so let's take a look at Litecoin after this, and then we'll do XRP, because I know 2 or 3 people have already asked about Litecoin. And then we'll look at Ethereum as well, because I've been getting asked about that in the Discord. So really the noticeable thing here, volume's actually really good on Bitcoin right now. The volume's been great. I mean, for a while we were having problems where it was just non-existent volume, but now like the volume is back in Bitcoin. The volume's doing very good from a 4-hour perspective, even from the daily. Let's take a look at the daily. I mean, even from the daily over here, the volume's still great. The volume's doing actually really good. The volume's better right now than it was in the beginning of 2018. So, I mean, the volume's doing really good. No one can argue that. That's a good sign. And it does look like it's kind of... I mean, I would say it's still kind of bearish. Someone brought this up on the... what is it, not the 3-day, on the 4-hour chart, you have 3 lower swing highs, 3 lower swing lows, which is a short-term downtrend. But that is, and it's still in play because until it hits a new swing high, this is still in a short-term downtrend. So that's one of the things I'm watching on Bitcoin. If it sees rejection here, probably a new low below $9,000. If it doesn't, I would imagine that it comes back up to at least 11,800, 11,900. Probably push its way back up to the low 13Ks and retest up there. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Everything is really dependent upon whether it can break these EMAs, because if it can't, again, it's almost guaranteed a new low in my opinion. Or at least I think that it could come back down to 9,500. If it sees rejection here, I think at least $1,000 drop. So probably more. But if you can have 3 higher swing lows on Bitcoin, I think that would be a good thing, saying that this is potentially ready to reverse back into a bullish trend. So with that being said, we've very well covered Bitcoin. We can do some macro analysis in a little bit, but let's go ahead and take a look at Litecoin. Luke T, welcome. Great to have you in here. What do we got? Litecoin, beautiful. Beautiful. I'm getting a lot of text messages. I'm sorry, guys. Alrighty. So let's talk about why the Litecoin chart looks so good, or looked so good. There was a lot of good TA over here. I haven't touched this thing since, like, I don't know, May, late May. It's been a long time since I looked at Litecoin. Basically, I wonder if we can draw a larger macro trend. Can we? Can we try? Nah, not really. So basically what I'm going to go is just based off what I've already had drawn up from like a month or two ago. And that is this resistance up here. Resistance is still resistance until it's used as support. And I can go ahead and highlight that. So support, or resistance, resistance, and then all of a sudden it's used as support up in here. Fell back below, and so what was previously resistance is now support, and then what was previously support is now turned resistance because it broke back down in here, and you can see that it's support all the way through, fell down, came back up, used former support as resistance, and then immediately saw the rejection. It came back down on Bitcoin. This is a really good chart for learning, so I'm actually glad that this is up here. I might try to like use this as a technical analysis learning example from here, because this is a really, really clean chart. So from the former rejection over here, it fell back down below both of the EMAs, and of course now that the 200 EMA, which was support over in here, you can see that support on the 200, support on the 200, support on the 200 again, and then it fell back below it, and now you're having rejection from the 200 all in here. Now another reason that this is actually resistance is because you had former you really had former resistance over here in this area. Again, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. And of course, this area over here you can still see as resistance on Bitcoin. Steam, what happened? Steam, big up, buy the Steam, buy now, Steam, boom.mm. Okay. So basically this is all leading us into the current state of, I want to go through that and explain how the TA worked in here, because that's something that's really interesting to me. And now let's go ahead and lead up to what Litecoin's actually doing. I think that it would actually be better for us to do this. Because if we do something like this, it's so steep, but you would easily have 3 touch points. So I would say that you definitely have a resistance line. Your support line's a little bit harder to draw just because of how crazy that this guy is. I mean, look at the bounce on it, though. Jeez. What's the move from here? Yeah, I mean, that's a 33% move. So this is a really good bounce from Litecoin. It hasn't seen something like this in a while. So potential reversal bounce here. I would imagine that this thing could easily go all the way up to the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, which would make sense to me. Now, the reason that this would make sense to me is that because this is where resistance is. As you can see, 1, 2, 3 swing highs on this resistance line over here, so it's an established, confirmed resistance point. But in addition to that, you would also have the 200 EMA right next to this resistance, which is pretty much telling me that if this price action wants to go anywhere to the upside, it's going to be in this area. It would just make all the sense in the world. You have the 200 EMA and you have an established resistance line, so there's no reason that like my immediate target to the upside is going to be right in that golden pocket. Moving this towards the indicators and oscillators. Okay, so here's another really good thing. So let me go ahead and highlight this. If you guys don't like indicators, they have been playing out phenomenally lately. Right here, triple bullish divergence, about as clean as it can possibly get. You have a swing low, a higher swing low, a third higher swing low on your MACD, saying there's lower levels of negative momentum upon each time swinging back to the downside. The bears are getting progressively weaker each time they have a swing low. What this is telling me that there's lower levels of negative momentum coming in upon each swing to the downside on Bitcoin, which means that the bears are getting weaker and weaker and weaker until they break. And that's the way that this bullish divergence plays out. And it was absolutely beautiful on Litecoin. I mean, it's as clean. This is the cleanest like triple bearish divergence that you will ever get. Perfect, played out absolutely beautifully. A 33% upside on Litecoin from that triple bullish divergence. I mean, that's more than most people make in like a year. Could have been in one swing trade. Isn't it weird that everything plays out perfectly on the charts? What is that telling you? Well, I don't think everything plays out perfectly. That's one of the big things that has been hard about trading Bitcoin and like the past, like I would say honestly like this year. So like this year has been great for riding Bitcoin, but if you remember earlier this year, end of last year, the RSI and the MACD meant no, I don't want to say absolutely nothing, that's an exaggeration, but the indicators and oscillators like 90% of the time just did not work. Now it's been for probably the last like 2 months or so. They have been spot on. Like these guys have been killing it with divergences and everything. But if you were in the Discord, basically in the Discord, we were talking about this because for a lot of the beginning of 2019, like there was just a period where you basically didn't use the RSI or the MACD because they just weren't being respected. Any kind of divergences that they had didn't mean anything and nothing played out. But for a lot of what was it? It was the beginning part of 2019 and the end of 2018 where the RSI and the MACD were absolutely like killing the game. And I can basically go show that on Bitcoin. I might have erased, I think I actually erased it all. Dang it. Basically what I mean by that is like divergence on the RSI right here, double bearish divergence. You would have sold off somewhere at this point as soon as you saw the lower swing high. Came all the way back down. If I can draw this up. Double bearish divergence came all the way back to the oversold. As soon as you saw a higher swing low over here from this guy, you would have said, okay, I'm long. Wrote it back all the way back up over here. As soon as you would have seen another lower swing high, you would have sold off. Wrote it all the way back here. Saw another higher swing low from over here. You would have entered back in. I mean, it was just like such an easy market to trade. I made, I think, like 600 or 700%, just like literally riding the RSI and the MACD. But then, I think it was going into springtime, that spring to summer transition time is where they just weren't doing anything. When Bitcoin started taking off again, they like the indicators and oscillators just weren't meaning anything. You were having like potential double bullish, triple or double to triple bearish divergence around like $6,000, $5,000, and it just meant absolutely nothing. Like you would see clear bearish divergence, but it doesn't matter because the candle chart and the macro trend was reversing, so the indicators didn't mean anything. But it's at places like this that it actually works out really well. Sorry, that was kind of a rant. Hopefully that made sense. Sometimes I kind of babble. I have a stutter. and it doesn't help with explaining thoughts very well. But basically the point that I'm trying to make is that in certain market conditions and in certain areas and time of the market, it's in certain areas and in certain times of the market, in certain parts of its life, you can use indicators and oscillators religiously. And then there's times where you just can't use them or you shouldn't use them. So there's a time and a place for everything. This is one of the times where it's been playing out absolutely beautifully. So people like me, traders, we abuse it while we can. And then we have to recognize once we can't use it anymore and like when to not use it. And that's like one of the big things about being a trader is that certain strategies work during certain time periods. And necessarily the same strategy will not work for all time periods for all different assets and devices and whatever you're trading, especially in seasons. You'd be surprised. Seasons affect trading. Jalen, welcome back. Says BTC is trading over 10K again. That indeed it is. But it's at pretty hard resistance right now. I mean, if it would break this guy, I would be very bullish on Bitcoin again. It would need to get a higher swing high, though. If it didn't, if it had 3 lower swing highs over here on a macro scale, like on a daily scale, I think it would be in a little bit of trouble. It would definitely be in trouble because then all of a sudden you'd have this guy. All right, here, let's just do this. Because then we would be looking at something like this, which in theory, like, it could just be setting up like a giant bull flag. It's very possible. I never really looked at it that way. So ideally, Bitcoin goes up to around $12,300 from here. Ideally, if it can break this EMA resistance, and we'll see where it goes from there. How much longer do you see us consolidating at this level? I mean, not much longer, to be honest. I think that you either have a strong rejection or a breakout here. So from a Mac, let's talk about this because there's really two ways that this guy can consolidate. Did I ever finish Litecoin, by the way? Litecoin to the USD? I can't remember. Yeah, I did. I put my targets up. And yeah, I mean, target to the downside from Litecoin would not be what you guys want to hear. Let me just put it that way. It would be really low. I mean, you're looking at like potentially like a $70 Litecoin again. 60s maybe even. What was the question? Yay, BTC's over 10K. Good explaining. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. How much longer do you see us consolidating at this level? So, in the macro scale, so let's call this, Jalen, one of the things that I had been saying in the videos, I'm sure you've seen it, but basically one of the things that I was saying is that the way in which this guy kind of moves up here is that it creates levels. That's what I like to call it. So it has level 1 of consolidation over here, level 1 of consolidation support, level 2 of consolidation support, level 3 of consolidation support, and this is going to be around level 4 of consolidation support. This also means that this is going to be resistance on the way back up, which is why it needs to break this area so desperately. But let's just kind of go ahead and group this whole guy as like the next consolidation support before it heads to the upside. Let's just go ahead and like assume that for the sake of discussion. In the short term, do I think that it will hang around this area, around this EMAs? No. I think that it either hard rejects here and comes back down, probably has about $1,000 drop almost if it sees rejection here. Easily $1,000 drop, probably more. If it breaks through here, I don't see any reason why it can't steadily climb, maybe even parabolically climb. I don't see any reason why it can't climb up to resistance over here at around 12.3K. Now, whether it breaks that, we're going to have to see. The volume is doing absolutely phenomenal on the daily and on the 4-hour time scale, so that's going great. But again, you have an extremely hard resistance. The heaviest form of support over 2019 so far is now being used as resistance for the first time, and we're really testing this level for the first time as a resistance level. So last time we failed it, we saw a heavy rejection. So it kind of needs to break out here, and if not, you're probably going to have a new low below $9,000 on Bitcoin. So I think things are going to start getting volatile soon. Maybe since we just had this large move, maybe we consolidate for a little bit. But I think ultimately, you're going to have a hard rejection or a hard breakout to the upside. I mean, if this thing starts breaking and climbing, no reason why it can't go up there. But I am planning to invest 1 BTC in DFS this weekend. How long do you think it will take for the agreement to get signed? What agreement are you talking about? And that's a lot. It's a lot of potential, I guess. I mean, it's just keep in mind, guys. It is I love DFS, right? I love DFS. I love the project. I love the people. I love everything about it. I love the risk versus reward of it. But keep in mind, it is a high risk investment. It is also a high reward investment. I was having an argument with people about this yesterday. I think DFS is amazing. I absolutely love it. I love the people who run it. But it is still a high risk investment. Why? It's listed on one exchange right now. One exchange. If it gets delisted from that exchange, if something happens to that exchange, anything, it's essentially worthless because you can't trade it anywhere. And if something happens to DFS, just keep in mind it's a low market cap altcoin. The thing fluctuates a ton. It's down 90% in a week, but it was also up 130% in 2 weeks. So it was up 1,000%. That's what it was. It was up 1,000% in a month, and then it fell 90%. So it's a very volatile coin. So just be careful. It's a risky investment, but it's a very rewarding investment. If it goes from 1 cent to $2.50, you make an absolute load of money, which is great, but that's only if it goes through. So I love it. I'm not pouring heavy amounts of money into it. I will be pouring money into it, but I'm not pouring all my investment portfolio. If what I invest in the DFS, if I never see it again, it will not impact me. It will not ruin my life, anything like that. That's one of the things. I can't tell you guys what to do with your money. I just want to make sure people realize that it's a risky, rewarding investment. If it goes through, you will make a ton of money. If it doesn't go through, you probably won't see that money again. It's one of those things where it's super hit or miss. It's either you make a lot of money or you lose it all. So if that's the kind of thing that you want to do, I mean, I can't tell you how to trade your money. I just want people to recognize the thing, the mindset going in. I would give it, I think it'll be, so if it does go to $2.50, which I am banking on, or else I wouldn't own any, I would give it till probably by the end of this year. I would say, ideally, that it's done by probably by sometime in October, ideally. But I would say by October. I think it could be at $2.50 by October. It kind of depends on Maya. The only reason I say that is because Maya has their hands so full right now with them doing their own token offering, which, by the way, I think is if you guys think DFS is a moneymaker, if the Maya thing goes through, geez, it's just as much, if not more. Holy moly. What you are saying is true with every micro cap. Best part about DFS is team is in USA based and not anonymous. Yeah, I completely agree with you. You know the team. That's the thing. I love their team. I love their people, everything about it. But what was another coin I was looking at? XRP. XRP to the US dollar. I know someone was asking about this. The deadline for the agreement is September. As per the, yeah. So that's why I'm saying September, hopefully we'll have $2.50 by October. I'm constantly talking to the guys from DFS and Maya. I always have questions to ask them, and this XRP chart is really good. I mean, it's really intriguing. Not necessarily good, but it's a very intriguing chart. So XRP is at an interesting point, and let me explain this. XRP is at an interesting point here because it doesn't necessarily look bullish, but it does in a way. And I know that's super confusing, so let me explain. So looking at this and how far it's fallen and the way that it's fallen and how it bounced and everything, ideally people could be looking to swing trade this, maybe for a 618 retracement or something like that. I think it's very easy that XRP retests the 36 cents area. It's currently sitting at about 32 cents. So I think it could pretty easily run up, another 4 cents per token. The problem with that is that the indicators and oscillators look a little bit bearish, and it's also seeing pretty clear rejection from the 50 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So maybe if this thing retraces a little bit back down here, has a lower or a higher swing low, works its way back up, and then meets the 200 EMA around this area of around 36 cents. I think that that is the most likely outcome, in my opinion, for XRP. This is one of those things where it's pretty far in advance, but I think that this is something that's very likely as to what's going to happen. So again, my prediction for XRP, short-term bear, bounces up, meets the 200 EMA at around 36 cents, and probably hopefully breaks it, maybe just sees rejection again. It's interesting though. It broke its like long-term support, which is kind of sad. For a while, this thing was the easiest thing to trade. I mean, look, I have all these arrows here because like it was just like buy the dip, literally. XRP is so volatile, holy moly. But basically the way that this worked over here is that it had this massive support line. So it would just be like, buy the dip, buy the dip. Anytime it got near this guy, you just kept buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. But now that that's broken, it's not quite as easy. Hopefully, it does that whole thing over again. Let's go back to the Bitcoin. What were we saying over here? The deadline for the agreement. Oh yeah, I think I already read through that. How long have we been going for? What are we at? 37 minutes. All right. If there's any other coins that you guys want me to cover, just let me know in the comment section. Until then, I'm going to go back to Bitcoin. See what we're doing over here. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a rejection candle from the looks of it. I'll go ahead and draw this out a little bit more as well. And then if it breaks this, I mean, it's probably going to be something like this down to here. Yeah, that's what I would say. My chart is so messy right now. Jeez. It broke the regressional trend as well, which isn't ideal. So now former support is now resistance. I mean, we could go ahead. We can go ahead and get rid of this guy too. What about Bolt? I've never heard of Bolt. And it's not even on here, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately it's not on here. So, I'm sorry. Kimura says, DFS buy news. Is it real or fake? We're actually just talking about this, Mr. Kamar. But basically what I was saying is that people have to understand is that, well, first of all, let me just start off by saying, personally, I think that it's real. Now, does that make it real? No, it does not make it real. But I believe that it's real. Could it be fake? It absolutely could, but I don't think that it is. Really? I've never heard of Bolt. And I can search it up. I'm sure it's on CoinMarketCap. But basically, I believe that it's real. I am putting my own money into it. I wouldn't do that if I thought it was fake. It's on CoinMarketCap. Number 300 ranked at 330 or 344. Where's it listed? Bitmax, Hotbit, the Binance Dex. Hotbit, KuCoin, Galaxy, and Switcheo. Interesting. Yeah, no, never heard of them. Up 6% on the day. So what I was saying, Kamar, is I personally believe that it's real. People need to understand that it's a very high risk and high reward scenario. It's one of those scenarios where you'll probably come out with like at least 100x gains, but if you don't come out with those gains, you'll probably come out with nothing. So if it goes through, you're going to make at least 100x. If it doesn't go through, you're going to probably never see that money again. So I can't tell you guys how to spend your money. I can't tell you guys what to invest in. I'm personally investing in it. I personally don't think that it's a scam. I hope it's not a scam because, I mean, if I get 100x, it'd be a great investment for the year. I mean, I would love ending the year off a couple %1,000% in the positive, on top of all the Bitcoin gains and everything. Like, that would be a great way to end the year with like 100x from, or 250x from DFS, and then another, at least hopefully 100x from the Maya deal if that goes through. So personally, I think it's real. Anything can happen. People say Bitcoin's a scam. I don't think Bitcoin's a scam. But people say everything's a scam. Some things turn out to be a scam. Some things don't. I don't believe that DFS is a scam. I put money into it, and for that reason, I'm banking that it's not. But it's a very risky investment because of the fact that if something happens to the exchange or anything, it's one of those scenarios where you either lose everything that you put into that investment, which is why I'm not putting a load of money into the investment. I'm not like pouring all of my Bitcoin into or all of my I'm not putting all of my trading power into DFS, and I'm not going like a Hail Mary pass. If I never see the money that I put into DFS or Maya again, if I never see that money again, it won't ruin my life. It won't ruin my finances. It would suck, but it would suck because I missed out on potential gains. But at the end of the day, that's what I mean. It's money that I can afford to not have. They announced a partnership with the Olympics of 2020. Token burn is also tomorrow, and Binance listing on the 25th. They announced the partnership with the Olympic. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of them. What do they do? Mapper just went through the floor. Oops, sorry, that's my YouTube chat. Let's take a look. Maya preferred. Huh. Oh my God. I'm assuming oh my God. I'm assuming, so this is what I'm hoping. I'm assuming that this is just going to turn into another one of these wicks. Because what happens over here is that these... So let me explain why this happens. Because when I first saw these, I got really nervous and I asked James about it. And I said, what in the world? And basically, this is how he explained it to me. Hopefully I'm allowed to say this. He basically said, the token's in a... that's crazy. So basically the token is at a place. Let me go ahead and move this back over. Let me move this here. I'm glad you brought this up. Essentially, there is no liquidity in Maya right now because the token hasn't officially released to the public yet. They're having their official release and sale next month, at the beginning of next month, which is when it's going to be available to the public. They have a couple people, very few people, I think on accident or somehow they got their hands on Maya or something like that. Very few people actually own Maya besides Maya right now. And any amount of money essentially manipulates the price of Maya a lot. So someone with like a fraction of a Maya token, if they sell that off, it crashes the price of Maya because the order books are so empty and low, and there's no liquidity in it. So what happens is the price falls back down here, and then Maya essentially comes back in, and it costs them almost nothing to move the price back up. That's still crazy. So usually what happens is that when the price crashes like this, someone's selling off like a fraction of a Maya token, and it crashes the price, and then it immediately goes back up because they have control over the price of it because it's a stable coin. And so they put the price back up, but that's a big drop. But these drops happen because there's no liquidity in it yet, and that's the reason that they're having their official launch, is because once they sell them off to people, they're going to actually be able to get liquidity, because right now no one owns the token. So if that didn't make sense, please tell me and I'll explain it better. I'm really kind of like struggle at explaining things sometimes. Mapper value just went through the floor. What just happened? So hopefully that's it. There is no buy support. Exactly. I mean, there isn't any buy support because no one owns the token yet, right? So the idea is that they do this once they have the full sale. It won't be able to do this anymore because someone sells off 1/10 of a Maya token, and all of a sudden the price dies because no one owns it. So hopefully that explains it. So I would imagine if this isn't back up here by the end of the day, I would be nervous. But like, I mean, look at how many times this has happened. People, because you have these people who get a fraction of a Maya token and they end up selling them off up here. And what would be really cool, or what would be, let's go to CADX. No, that's not it. CADX exchange. Because what will happen is Maya will say that there, but it won't say it here. Nope, it's down 99% on the exchange. Good day, Brendan. Do you know where is CADX located? I could be wrong, so don't take my word for this, but I believe it's in Asia. I believe it's predominantly dominated by Asians. The volume, the inflow, the users, I believe it's predominantly dominated by Asians. Which would make sense because, or no, I thought that was TRX, never mind. Yeah, no, TRX is here, because they have TRX as a main listing. So it would make sense that it's Asia. I wonder if Fat BTC is doing the same thing. Or maybe Fat BTC was the one central, or like heavy located in Asia. It was one of the two. No, that works for me. Okay, cool. So let us here it is, BTC market. So yeah, that's weird. So on Fat BTC, the price hasn't moved like at all. So yeah, on Fat BTC, Maya hasn't moved, but on CADX, CADX is linked, or excuse me, CADX and CoinGecko are linked. So that's weird that on this one exchange it's down 99, but on the other it's still at $20,000. It's probably just part of the liquidity problem. Speaking of DFS, let's take a look at it. Oh, it's not the right one. It's at 1 cent. That's nice. Fair enough. So yeah, hopefully that answers those questions. I would imagine I can always message James and be like, yo, what's happening? But every time this happens, he goes, he says the same thing. He explains the price liquidity thing, and that's the reason that they're doing their offering, and then it's always up to back where it was at the end of the day. Now, I can't guarantee that or anything, but it's happened like 8 times, so I would just assume that's the same thing. Will Mapper President be live today? I mean, he won't be live with me today. If you guys want, I can do another live interview with him. I've talked to him. I mean, he's a super nice guy. He says that he'd be willing to do live interviews, whenever. Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. I have the wrong title. That's entirely my problem. BTC technical assist. That's entirely my fault. Oh my. The biggest bait of all time. Let me go ahead and change that. Bitcoin. I'm sorry, guys. Bitcoin slash. There we go. Just an old title? Yeah, that's my fault. I forgot to change the title. My preferred is not James DeHockey's first coin. His former coin was Dibcoin. So that's actually no. The answer to that question, Jack, is no. So his first he wasn't a part of Dibcoin. And let me explain that, because I was pretty upset when I saw that. I saw that article from Bitcoin Talk, and it was kind of discredited pretty fast, from my understanding. So James, I don't know how to. Let's just call him Dackles. I'm not sure how to say his name. Let's just call him James. So let me explain that, Jack. James was I don't know. Do we have the article here? I don't think we do. Dang it. Basically, let me explain that real fast. So James was an investor in a company called Sunshine something something. They went public. He was a shareholder in their company. The company ended up buying so he was a shareholder in a company that bought a token that turned out to be a scam. So just because you're a shareholder in something that buys a scam, does that make you a scam? He wasn't. I looked through the information. He wasn't, from my understanding in my research, he wasn't a president. He wasn't a leader in the company. He wasn't on the board. He wasn't anything like that. But how can we see the proof that Mapper is backed by gold? Because literally go to their website. I mean, this is one of those things. I've challenged everyone on my YouTube. If you guys can prove to me that they are a scam, go to their website, look through their third-party audits, look through their information. They publicly have all their information. But going back to your question, who was I talking to? Jack. Okay, so if you owned NVIDIA, and say you just own shares of NVIDIA, and NVIDIA ended up trying to buy a cryptocurrency, and all of a sudden that cryptocurrency ended up failing or falling through, or it was a scam or whatever. So say NVIDIA invested into like BitConnect. They were like, we want to be a part of their trading bot. So NVIDIA invested into BitConnect or bought BitConnect out, and all of a sudden BitConnect's a scam and it falls through, and you owned a share of NVIDIA. All of a sudden, does that discredit you for the rest of your business history? So for the rest of your life, are you a discredited investor because you owned a share of NVIDIA, which happened to have bought a scam? If that's the case, then like a quarter of the world's stockholders are no longer allowed to be businessmen because they invested in a company. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Now, if he was on the board of directors, or if he was on the board or a leading member of the team, I would completely be with you. But like he wasn't a member of an influencer. He had no power. He literally owned the stock. So is that enough to say because he owned a stock that had a scam in it, is that enough to say that he's a scam? I think the answer is no. I think you have to be silly, right? I mean, if that's the case, then like a quarter of everyone in here is all scam artists. I mean, you talked with me here, Jack. If you owned a stock that was like, it's not like he was the leader. If you can go and prove to me that he was a leader or a board member or something like that, then like I'm right there with you. But he wasn't. So how can you say because someone owned a stock that, like, I don't know. So did Dibcoin have similarities with Maya? A little bit, but you could say that about any crypto. You could say that like DFS and Funfair are like identical. So that way if Funfair crashes, they didn't hold most of the stock. Jack, I don't know. So if you can show me that they were majority shareholders, I'll by all means. But they weren't. If you can show me the information, by all means. But like, I looked at the information, I looked at the records. They weren't. I mean, unless it's all tampered data. I mean, you can go look at it yourself. They weren't majority shareholders. They held the stock. But that's like me and my dad and my brother and my best friend. We all hold a stock. But that doesn't make us... Just because my whole family owns like Apple, or we all... Like a lot of my family all holds precious metals. Right? Like that... I don't know. That doesn't seem like very good reasoning to me. That if most of your family holds it, that doesn't make you a majority shareholder. And that's the way that these things work. Why is DFS any answer? So Shahir, let me go ahead and answer that question. There's lots of questions about DFS and Maya. Jeez. Why is DFS... What was that? Your question? Hassani, I think I already answered your question. Just letting everyone know, do your own research. I mean, yeah, exactly. Jack, if you can literally... I think my email's on my YouTube. So Jack, I have an open challenge. I'll actually... You know what? I will pay people... I don't know how much of... I will literally give a bounty on BTC. I'll give an open bounty right here. So if you go to my YouTube channel right here and go to my About page, you can see my email, right? If you can come up with evidence that this is fake information or evidence that Maya or DFS is a scam or fake or anything, you go to that email on my About page of my YouTube. You email me the information. If the information's true, I will pay you in BTC, like probably like at least $100 or something. I don't know. $100 in Bitcoin, so like 0.01 Bitcoin, or I don't know how much. Because you will have been saving me, trust me, you will have been saving me more money because I don't want to get caught in a scam. But I've gone through the information. So Jack, if you can go and get that information and prove to me that they are a scam, either one, I will make a video on it. I will throw all the information into a YouTube video. I will expose it. I will take my money out of it. But I'm a pretty heavy analyst and I couldn't find anything. Like, I know a lot of people say it's a scam, but they've never researched it. I mean, I researched it for like months, like a month or two. Oh, sorry, that's CoinMarketCap. And I couldn't find anything. I mean, I found a lot of things that I thought were true until they just were dead ends. So, like, the biggest thing for me is that they don't have the gold and silver that they said that they have, but they do. And that was the big kind of turning point for me. Where is this? Home, about? Oh, yeah, they have my video on their website, though. I think that's kind of cool. Unless that is a scam, then that's not cool. Third-party audit reports. Where is it? I'm going to move this back over here. I want to say it's this one. This is the one I looked at the most. Yeah. So these are third-party audit reports of signed with it's literally with a government stamp of approval on it. Where is it? Yeah, I mean, you literally have third parties, so people that aren't a part of Maya. These were done in 2008. Way before Maya even existed. Way before Dibcoin or any of that. Where is it? November of 2008 with government seals of approval on it, done by a separate company 10 years before they were even a coin. Before Sunshine LLC or whatever it's called, before Maya, before UK Financial, before any of these guys. 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So literally 11 years this was done by a third-party audit signed by the government. And on here you can clearly see 1,130,000 pounds of gold and silver just right here. Over here, 681,000 tons, 113,000 tons, 1,900,000 tons. Is there more? Is that it? I mean, that's a ton. 1,900,000 tons of gold and silver. Now, they don't, keep in mind, they don't own the mines. They have agreements with the mines. They don't own, like, they don't necessarily own all of the gold and silver in the mines, but they signed agreements with the mines, like contracts. And that's just one of the mines. Like, geez. So, open offer. I will pay anyone Bitcoin that can prove to me that it's false. Fair enough? That's just, I mean, that's my thing. If you can legitimately, like, I will legitimately pay you. Like, I will pull up a wallet right now because I have the money already loaded into a wallet for the people. I'll pull up the wallet right now. Why not? I mean, it's just, I don't think anyone's going to find anything. That's why I'm willing to put out an offer like this. Sorry if I seem a little frustrated. I've had a million people ask me this, but they've never researched it before. And I've spent like days, like not days, like days of time, like months of research. Balances. So here it is. Oh, I don't know if I can show this on screen. I'm trying not to show my personal information. So here, I have, this is like obviously a page you guys can see right here. It's a page, like I can click on any of this crap. This is my wallet. I have it loaded up with BTC already ready. If anyone can prove to me that it's a scam, they get a portion of that. It's one of my wallets. I don't want to, let me make that very clear. That's one of my wallets. Because people are going to be like, oh, let's find his wallet. So, I think I have what, 0.28 in there or something? Wow, big proof, good documentation. I mean, so the claim of 34,000, so the claim, that is the claim. Yes. I love how I still have a Bitcoin chart up over here. What's happening on this guy? That is the claim, Mr. Jack, of the $34,000 Bitcoin. Good documentation. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, my job is, my name's literally the crypto analyst. Like, my job is to be an analyst. I've done this for many things, and I've found many ones to be false, but let's see what we got over here. I kind of like the way that this is forming. What would be really cool on Bitcoin is if we got some like ricochet action in here, like led to a breakout. That would be perfect. It's more than there's been gold and mine and silver in existence. Humanity, do the math. So I don't, okay. How do I explain this? I know what you're asking. I've already asked James it. And in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm not very good at explaining. There is, oh, I know. There's the easy way. I've already done with it. That was my number one question I had for James. I literally was on a live stream, or I think I was on a live stream where I Googled that exact same question. And so when I had James on, I asked him that. I said, how could your project possibly be true if basically exactly what you just said, Jack? And he explained it a whole lot better than I could ever do justice. So literally go to the first time I ever interviewed James on this channel, go watch that video and explain it. Because technically, again, these are minds and they're not necessarily what is mined. So, okay, and that's not going to do it justice. I'm really bad at explaining this because it's not my company and like anything like that. But easiest way, let me go pull up the channel. I'm not going to be able to do it justice. I have a horrible stutter, and I am horrible at explaining things. I think it's this one. Is Maya a scam or legit? You literally just got, I mean, it has a ton of views, jeez. Just go, like, literally watch the thing. I ask him that. Or I called him on the phone. I'm, like, 99% sure it's in that interview. And if not, I can ask him right now. I'll shoot him a message. I mean, it's just not. So, back to Bitcoin. I don't know what else I can tell you. There's an open offer. I've done like 3 interviews with them, and no one has been able to prove that it's a scam. So, that's why there's an open monetary offer to anyone who thinks that they can solve it. Because it's just, I mean, good luck. Good luck finding anything. But go watch that interview, because it was really good, and it answers like all the questions. And go look at some of the third-party audits. If you can find anything that's like misinformation, I mean, by all means, but I just don't think you're going to. Can I grab this? No, I'm not. All right, what was I doing? I kind of lost my train of thought after that. Those are good questions, though. I encourage people to ask good questions. So by no means am I like, stop asking questions, like, shut up and buy the coin. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, by all means, dude, like, keep asking questions because it's really good. And I encourage people to, like, question and ask questions. But also I encourage people to do their own research as well. I didn't mean that in a sassy way. Sorry, that sounded kind of sassy. Let's go ahead and clean up this chart first before we head any deeper in here. But something I actually want to do over here is a macro fib analysis. Where's my fib? That's not it. All right, let's do a macro fib analysis here. Wow, would you look at that? So this is actually kind of a scary thing on Bitcoin. So if you do a macro fib from the top of the 2017 top at $20,000 and you go all the way down to the recent low of around $3,000, the bounce goes right up to the 618 fib retracement. I'm actually going to post this in Discord right now. That's huge. Which is kind of scary because the most popular fib retracement in Bitcoin is called the golden fib, which is the 618 fib retracement. So the fact that this came back up to a 618 fib retracement and then saw a rejection wick here is actually a sign that this could be a continuation in a downtrend, more so than a reversal in an uptrend, which is actually really scary. I'm actually going to go do a write-up on this. So I'm going to copy this and post it. Whoa. Also, I want to take a look at the monthly and stuff because I haven't looked at those in a while. The weekly and the monthly. Weekly chart on Bitcoin MACD is rounding down. RSI isn't really doing anything. This week I'm sure is red, which it is. And this month, on the monthly timescale, this thing's still moving to the upside. Starting to turn to the downside on the RSI. Still doesn't look bad though. All right, let's go back to chat. I feel like I definitely missed some chat. Oh, that's convenient. James is here. I will do an interview. This is James Dalkey till I prove that this is not a scam. Okay, well, wow, that's easy. So they will mine the whole Earth. Well, sir, how much more days will have until the DFS agreement is done? Well, wow, I guess you guys can just ask him questions now. I wasn't expecting that. That's convenient. Gig is up, Jim. Cat's out of the bag. We will see. My preferred. This is James Lucky, president of my preferred. I welcome to ask any question to show the proof that we are scam. I'm willing to do an interview with anyone on the show. Scam, nice wording. Crypto analyst, nice job, but you shouldn't have to convince any person or anything. I'm willing to talk. So I mean, there you go. I mean, Jack, if you think that it's a scam, I mean, you can ask James whatever questions that you want, and he can answer them for you. Or I can do another interview, and I mean, I've already done 2, but you guys, I'll let you guys. How about this, Jack? You can talk to James in chat, ask him whatever questions. He's probably already answered most of them, but you can whatever you and James want to decide. I mean, trust me, any question that you are going to ask him, I guarantee. I've asked James a lot of questions, and he's answered them all. So we'll see. In the meantime, I will keep to my BTC technical analysis while you guys have your discussion. Alrighty. Actually, I need to do Ethereum. James like Sunshine Capital, Bitcoin are synonymous. Actually, Ethereum looks like it's getting pretty close to support over here. I love it. I love it. There we go. So Ethereum's definitely approaching 2 different levels of support. Both are pretty heavy levels. Well, the first one's a lot more heavy than the second, I would add. But what are we looking at? Around $181,000 or $181,000. $181 on Ethereum is definitely going to be support. It bottomed at $189, so it's about $9 off, $8 or $9 off from the support line over here. So very close, not close enough yet. It's still very possible that if Ethereum wants to keep falling, if it would actually come down somewhere into this area and bounce off of one of these 2 support lines. Now, why does it make sense that it bounced off of this area? Well, it makes perfect sense why it bounced from here, because we can see, if we can move this guy, that this was actually support. So over here we have support. We have support, support, resistance, support, and support, support again, and then support again over in here. And what I'll do is I'll just actually move this guy. So it makes all the sense in the world as to why it would have stopped here. But the question is, can it fall through this level? So this is obviously a pretty good sign. I would imagine that it retested at least the 50 EMA on the 4-hour chart before heading back downwards. I think that would make a lot of sense for me. And on the daily chart, I mean, that's a brutal fall in the daily. Yeah, I mean, dang. What is that, in 3 days? Yeah, I mean, in 3 days, this went from 320 to 190. Whew. That is a brutal fall for Ethereum. So it might just be time. So this is one of those times because you have to ask yourself, is this just a dead cat bounce because of how far it's fallen, or can it actually continue in this uptrend here? I think it's too early to say for either of those. But looking at this from, a TA perspective, it's also hitting resistance. So former resistance in here, you can see resistance, resistance. Now still resistance. So it could get rejected in here. I would like to see it at least get rejected from the 50 EMA, because to me that would say that it's still following technical analysis. I feel like I'm just like chatting and doing technical analysis, and like the real discussions in the comment section right now. Hopefully my mic's all right too. I didn't even check that. I should probably check that because my mic was broken as of a couple days ago. Oh yeah, no, my mic's fine. We're good. So, moving forward, one other thing, I want to look at XVG. I haven't looked at that in absolutely forever. Oof. Verge is, whew. That is a brutal, what's... Huh. Rejected from the 50 again. Is that a new yearly low? Almost. So Verge got cut close here. Let's go ahead and... So let's use this line as, like, I don't know. Not that I even trade Verge anymore, but... Because, like, are they doing anything still? Where are they on the listings? I mean, they were at one point a top 10 crypto, I believe. When they had that moon rocket, like, made crazy money. They're ranked at 71 now. Oh, that's brutal. I mean, they literally went from, like, what? They went from 1 cent to 30 cents or a half a cent to 30 cents or something. It was like a 60x gain in, like, 2 weeks. It's crazy. All right, what's happening in chat over here? Start with this one. There's just a lot of questions up here. I wonder if we could do a live debate. I've seen people do that before. Where, like, I could be, like, the intermediate, and then we could have, like, the opposers versus the supporters. And we could have, like, James and whoever else, or maybe just James, and then anyone who opposed and had questions. We'd have to keep it, like, respectful, though. That's the only fear that I have, is that people would get on here and, like, I don't know, be an idiot. Not to say that any of you guys are idiots, but, like, I'm afraid that, like, some random person would come in and say, like, explicits that I would get in trouble for, or something like that. Or, like, people wouldn't be respectful. Like, if I have like a live debate or something, whether you agree or disagree, like, respect is kind of key. So this is kind of the support line I'm looking at. Verge for. Oh, let's look at the Renko. Cryptocurrencies as assets. The Litecoin company funding whatever is just a trick. It's part of the same company. Okay. Yeah, I mean, here's the okay, so here's kind of like one of the problems that I have here, Jack, is that, like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, I don't feel like you've done the proper research. I feel like you've read one article on Bitcoin Talk that's kind of already been discredited. And because you read one article on Bitcoin Talk that was posted not by, like, a news outlet or anything, but by a normal person. But because you read one article on Bitcoin Talk, you think you have the thing figured out. Which, like, from an analyst perspective, you should never look at one source of evidence and develop an entire case off of it. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that makes sense, because, like, I mean that in, like, a nice way. But like from an analyst perspective, when I look at things, I never look at one website, one news source, one outlet, and then say that is the credit for which everything is going to be legitimate or illegitimate. So if you think what's credible in the news article is true, you immediately go to the white paper, you immediately go to the third-party audits, you go to the SEC filings on that specific case. If those are true, if they back up what was said on this Bitcoin talk, then on this forum, then okay, because then you have the third-party audits right? Or the SEC filings. So just like bear with me here. Like if you haven't looked at at least 4 different resources, I don't think that there's been a proper investigation of the material. And so for me, like I've that's just what I would recommend. Maybe you've done that, but I'm saying it just doesn't sound like it because the only thing that you're referencing is this one article that was posted on a forum by a normal person. And I just don't think that's enough evidence to develop any kind of a serious case, because then the evidence for your case is the evidence. If you know what I'm saying, it's kind of like a circular reasoning problem where you're saying the evidence for my case is the evidence for my case sort of thing. And that's like one of the biggest problems in becoming developing cases as any kind of analyst, especially in crypto. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I mean that in like a super nice way, so I don't think I'm trying to be rude when I'm saying that. But like, when you're investigating anything, whether it's Maya or whatever, just take the time to look at several different resources. And be able to quote those different resources as well. Because if you're able to say, well, no, the SEC case said this, well, then you have a significantly greater chance at your argument than to say that, I'm just repeating myself. I want to keep an eye on Bitcoin here. Bitcoin's not doing anything too crazy. One of the things, actually, you know what I want to look at? Is Cardano. I made some good money off Cardano earlier this year. This thing was a dime. Where are we at right now? It's a heavy retracement. Let's see if we can't draw up some support lines and stuff. Whatever is the case, don't think that you would... Yeah, okay. I feel like, Jack, you have to be like a little bit more less closed-minded about this. Like, he could tell you that the sky is blue, and you could say, I don't trust you. Right? So if you don't believe him, Jack, just go look at the SEC filing yourself. It's just as easy as that. And if it was a scam, do you honestly think he would go? I didn't call him to the live stream, guys. I didn't text Jeff. I didn't text James and be like, come to my channel. There's people and I can't answer questions. I have a billion notifications from my phone, and some are actually from him. I have all these notifications on my phone. If it really was a scam, do you really think he would take all of his time to come to a YouTube channel and answer questions? Come on. Really? I've never seen a scam that does that. Looking at this from Cardano. So on Cardano, I see a pretty nice falling wedge. It will be clear in time. I guess it will. So, okay, so actually I have a question here. So, Jack, what to you will be like, I was right, it's a scam, you were wrong? So for me, what will that be for you? will that be the point where all of a sudden like Maya is delisted? So if Maya is delisted from everywhere and the value is 0, is that the point where you're like, you were wrong? Or if it falls in value or like something like that, like at what point will you be like, I told you so, sort of thing? Will that be like if Maya hits $0 or if it gets delisted from everywhere, excuse me? At what point will you be like, I was right, you were wrong, sort of thing? Like, it's official, it was a scam. At what point, like, would that take you? Going back to Cardano over here, now that I asked my question. Going back to Cardano over here, I think it's very evident that you have 1, 2, 3, and now 4 touch points on resistance. And then you have 1, 2, this is probably like 3 or 4 touches depending on how you count this and this. 3 or 4 touches on support. So for me, Cardano looks like from a BTC pair, or no, on a USD pairing that it's actually getting ready for some sort of a breakout here. Because ideally when this happens and this guy ricochets in the way that it's doing, it generally would break out to probably at least the 200 EMA, ideally over here. So we could be looking from this 5.8 cents area all the way up to around 7.5 cents per Cardano. So Cardano actually might be reaching a point where it's actually a decent swing trade. And I'm actually going to highlight this one to talk about after the live stream's over in the Discord as well. So if it does, we'll see. I was going to say like, oh, well, we could do a wager where like, look, Jack, my offer is still open where if you email me and you're all, okay, here, I'll show this. I still have an open offer. I still have a bounty. If you can figure out something that's fake, fraud, whatever, I'll pay you, but I don't think you're gonna find anything. So the reason that this looks so good is because of the way that the falling wedge is set up. I've been totally rabbit trailing. I'll probably cut off the live stream. I'm just rabbit trailing at this point. I wanted to make sure that everyone was able to have a discussion with James though before I just cut off the live stream. The reason that this is so good is because you have at least 3 to 4 touches on support and resistance separately. And generally when you do that, it's a confirmed falling wedge, which is a bullish formation and continuation pattern. Ideally, I would see this thing moving back up to former support now turned resistance on Cardano, which is a very clear level to me over in here. You can see that the 7.5 cent area is a very, very clear support area, especially in the most recent time frame and the most recent price action, because with it falling through here, I think that it could very easily come back up towards this area, test this former support now turned resistance line, and then also retest the 200 EMA, because the 200 EMA is going to be just around this support area as well. And so these are actually going to come together. So you're actually going to have a resistance area along with the 200 EMA, which is going to make for double resistance, which makes me doubt it's actually going to be able to break through it. Definitely I think that if it breaks the 50 EMA, it's very likely that it could retest that area. For now, resistance is going to be around 6.1 to 6.2 on Cardano. So but yeah, that's honestly most of the stuff that I wanted to go over today, with a little bit of a rabbit trail. Probably a lot of a rabbit trail, but whew. This case is pretty clear. You, Maya, preferred, will naturally just claim that you are legit, of course. But like, if he was a scam, would he really have came to, I don't know. I guess that doesn't prove anything. But like, I don't know. I just don't think that that's good enough evidence, you know? I don't think it's fair enough to say because he was a shareholder, not an owner, not a whatever, not a what's it called? Not a board member. Just because he was a shareholder of something. I don't know. Like, I don't think that's enough evidence. That's not a big enough premise. And again, there's not enough information, and you can't use one source as the premise for an entire argument. That's the biggest thing for me, Jack, is that you can't use one article that was written by, no offense, I think I know who wrote the article. I absolutely love the person. But, like, they're not a news outlet. They're not a trusted news source of documentation. So is one premise by a civilian writing a document your standard for creating an entire case? And I don't think you can just use one article, right? Like, can you? Is that the way? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, that's not the way that I've ever done investigating. I think, like, even today, you have to have more than one. If you have a court case, you have to have more than one. What is this? Oh, it's the reverse. You have to have more than one, what's it called? Witness. And I think the same thing should be done for documentation. You should have at least, instead of witnesses, you just basically need sources. Sure, we can do more research. Yeah, and so that's the thing, Jack. I mean, by all means, like, again, I put months of research into it, and that's why I'm just, I personally don't believe it's a scam. So, no hard feelings either way. But, based off my research, that's my humble opinion. I just think that I would just say, Jack, if you really are curious, go look at some of the SEC documentation. Dig into that. Let us know what you find. Where did this guy come from? Where did this guy come from? The market cap literally went from 0 USD to over 1 billion, to almost $2 billion. Holy moly. It's only been out since May. Holy crap. Bet you people said this was a scam too. That's crazy. Just looking through some of the cryptos right now. Raven Coin's ranked at 42 now. Incredible. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream, guys. I have covered everything that I have needed to today. I guess I kind of want to finish up looking through some of these guys. How's BNB doing? Where is BNB? Binance Coin's flying, dude. Wait, what's Litecoin at? Litecoin's back at 4. Bitcoin Cash at 5. XRP has fallen way below Ethereum now. Ethereum's almost got twice the market cap of XRP now. That's a big gap. Used to not be that big. Binance Coin. Can't believe Binance Coin is number 6 now. It's crazy. That's crazy. All right. Wait, you can actually buy Binance Coin on so many exchanges? That's crazy. Holy crap. 202 ways to buy Binance Coin. That's incredible. Because usually when you think of exchange tokens, you can only buy them from the exchange because they're an exchange token. That's crazy that other exchanges would list another exchange's token. I guess it's gotten to the point where it's that big. I mean, it's the number 6th ranked crypto. I mean, no big exchanges are selling it. But, I mean, you have P2B. You have Gate.io. What other big ones are on here? Qcoin. Hit BTC. Bancor. Those are all the ones I know that aren't part of Binance. Something I actually wanted to do is go look at some of the rankings of exchanges. Huh. If you guys have never looked at the rankings of exchanges, it's actually a really intriguing process because you're able to look at, like, you know, most people think, oh, well, the biggest exchanges are Coinbase, Binance, Bitfinex, Bittrex, like things like that, which it isn't really the case. Like, where's Coinbase on here? Like Coinbase Pro is ranked 26. That's crazy. People think of Coinbase as some, like, massive exchange. But what is this? Adjusted volume? Let's do reported volume. 35 still. That's crazy. Like, what's up here? Binance, okay, BitMEX. BitMEX makes sense. I mean, you have so much volume that goes into BitMEX. It's still just crazy. Like, where's Bittrex, Bitfinex, all these guys? Yeah, Bitfinex, 41. Bittrex, 75. Kraken, 43. Like, all these big exchanges that I think of, like, really aren't that big, I guess. I mean, BitMEX is never even, like, really used it. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. We got a little sidetracked towards the end. But thank you guys so much for watching the live stream. Whenever it's a lot of cool stuff, you know, especially a lot of TA in the first half, a lot of question and answer in the second half. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. We were live for about an hour and a half here. So if you guys did enjoy the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys all so much for watching. You know, Jack, Arthur, James, Kumar, everyone who was able to participate in today's live stream. Appreciate it, guys. And I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully more to come, because the live streams should be starting back more oftenly, starting after August 15th, I believe. Because I move back into my apartment around August 15th. And from then on out, it's very easy to do live streams because it's a very more controlled environment, to say the least. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And if you guys have any questions, by all means, email me, shoot me a message on Discord, anything like that. But until then, guys, I will see you guys next time.